Hey guys, it's Latasha Martin. I am the owner of Bond Squad Solution. I am a career agent that helps people navigate through their career by creating a career path that aligns to what's important to you. So, whether you are a college student, if you are a new worker, if you're an experienced professional, or you are transitioning, or you even want to get into area of side hustle, we have something for you. Now, you might be wondering, Latasha, typically when you do your virtual tips, you don't do such a long introduction. So I'm doing this long introduction for a couple of reasons. One of the things that I realized this Sunday for Resurrection Sunday, or if you call it Easter, is that there were a lot of churches that were doing some really great, outstanding things that were happening in the virtual world. And then there were some people who were still struggling a bit. Also, last week, I received some additional calls on people trying to navigate this whole space on should I be looking for a job or should I hang tight? I'm not really sure. So, I'm giving you all this information because for today's call, what I want to do is I want to begin with some virtual tips for nonprofit organizations or churches. And then I want to shift over to the job seeker or a person that might be like straddling the fence, not really sure what's next for their career because of what's happening in the climate that we're in right now. So let's go ahead and begin with some tips or just some reminders for the virtual solutions. Again, many of the churches and the targeted audience that this is for are smaller congregations that are still trying to feel their way over how do we do these virtual sessions effectively. And yesterday I was actually sitting in the producer role, meaning that I was on the other side of looking at two different services that were happening at the same time. One of the churches has been using Zoom for a while. The other church was using Zoom and they had someone streaming with another device on Facebook Live. That's never a problem to take that approach. It's not always looking for a tool that can do all these multiple things, but how can you use multiple devices to accomplish the same end result? But it reminded me of some critical things that are really important, no matter how big or small your church is. The first thing is that as you are planning for your upcoming virtual service, you really do want to make sure that you have a team in place. And there were some tips that I gave out when we first started transitioning from live church into virtual that have changed since. And so one of those things is how do you protect your virtual environment? So no matter what tool you're using, you really want to make sure that there are things in place for you to protect the security for the event that you're having. So, for example, if you're using Zoom, I'm encouraging people to use either the Zoom Professional, it's the $15 one where you're using that information, but you're gathering your congregation's email address and then you're sending the information out to them through email versus posting that meeting ID and password onto social media or any public area. Why am I encouraging you to take that approach? I'm encouraging you to take that approach for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that there are still people going in and being disruptive either in Sunday services or classrooms if you do not have a password protected event. So when you have these, if as you're setting up your services, you want to make sure that you have a plan mapped out of how do we inform our congregation, and then as we're getting them transitioned from Facebook Live, which is an open forum, over to Zoom, how do we communicate with them effectively through email or text messaging? Now, the second piece to getting that information also helps your congregation for post Sunday support. What is post Sunday support? You may want to start sending emails or text messages to your congregation from Sunday to Sunday, just letting them know that you're thinking about them. If you have prayer lines that are happening or any of these other tools or support resources that are available through your church, or maybe you're partnering with another church, you want to make sure that you are keeping your church, your congregation, uh, feeling like they're supported and that there are resources inside and outside of maybe your church. This is a great time for partnership and collaboration, which almost sounds odd because if you think about it, if you're Christians, we're all about part of one body. So really it should be saying, what is it that my congregation needs? There might be some things that we have, and in these times, this might be a great opportunity for you to stretch out your arm and meet and partner with some other churches that in the past you haven't had the capacity to do, but maybe they're doing something on Sunday that you can do, or you're doing something on Sunday that they can do. So this is a great time for the body of Christ to come together and rally in and support each other the way that God designed it. So those are some things again that you want to think about from churches is you want to protect your congregation, you want to make sure that you're providing resources for them. And then the third piece is that you want to check in with the church members and find out is what we're doing working. So whether that's using SurveyMonkey, which is a free tool, or some type of a response that you can get, maybe you're calling some of the members and saying, "This is what we have in place now. Is this working? What else would you like to see? What other kind of support do you need?" Just do these things to really ensure that you're supporting your congregation and checking in and making sure it's not just what you think is good about all the technical things working on Sunday, but what is it that your congregation needs from Sunday to Sunday? The longer we stay in our houses, it seems like days are just blending together. Honestly, if someone wouldn't have mentioned to me last week was Palm Sunday, I would have had no idea that yesterday was Easter or Resurrection Day. So again, those are some things for the church is making sure you're protecting your people, make sure you're giving them what they need, make sure you're supporting them and that you're partnering with other churches. So now what I would like to do is I'm going to shift over to the remote worker, job seeker person. I know right now as we continue to go on this journey, and it may have seemed like, okay, this was temporary, but now it's getting real to you. And so as you are working from home, for some people, you're either in isolation because you're by yourself, or your life has been changed, or your world's been rocked because now you're homeschooling your kids and you're working. Either you're working as a single parent or you're a married couple trying to get things done. One of the biggest tips that I want to provide for you in this virtual environment is negotiating how you do your work in the house, making sure you're organized with that. And so, one of those things that I use often when something changes in my life is whenever I'm trying something new, I go through the exercise that I'm going to show you guys right now, and then you could decide, yes, I want to take this approach, or no, she just sounds crazy. So, one of the things that I always do when it comes to something new in my life is I will actually go ahead and take the time to what I call block out my schedule. Like, literally, I take a piece of paper. Uh oh, this Sharpie's not working very well. Let me get another one. I will actually go and get a piece of paper, and I'll usually use a pencil or I'll go to my whiteboard. And what I'll do is I will 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do it this way: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so we have the days. And what I'll do is I will take the time and I will block out and say to myself, okay, this is all the time that I have for the week. And now oops, you can't even hardly read that. And so now what I want to do is I want to either take post-its on a whiteboard, or if I'm using a piece of a pencil, is I'll say, what are the activities that I have to get done? What activities do I have to get done? So whatever activities I have to get done, I'll either take a certain color post-it or I'll use my pencil and I'll mark those things in. So let's just say from Monday through Friday, I know that I need to work from 9 to 5, right? Let's say I know that I need to work from 9 to 5. This is a fixed time, or is it? And the reason why I'm saying or is it is because if you are hired as a salary person, you may have to do one pass at this. And then if you're working and you and your spouse are working in the same space, you might have to say to yourself, well, let's see if one of us can negotiate or flex how we do our time so that we can manage our kids' schedule. So again, do this individually first, and then you might want to say, where are some opportunities? So you write, what is my fixed items? And then what other things can I work around it? Like if you're working virtual, maybe you're deciding that, you know what, I want to make sure that on my calendar in Outlook, I want to block out from 12 to 1 for lunch. And then you might say, well, normally I work 9 to 5, but now I don't have a commute. And I know once everything starts going, it gets a little nuts in my house. So now I didn't used to exercise before work, but I'm going to get up early, and at 8 o'clock to 8:30, I'm going to either exercise or meditate. Do something where it's just me getting ready for my day, because normally that would have been my commute time, but it's not my commute time now. So you want to make sure again that you have your fixed items that are in there. If you know that you used to have commute time, how can you replace this commute time with something that can prepare you for your day? And then you might say, okay, if I get off at 5 o'clock, what do I do at 5 o'clock or 4:30 to prepare myself so I can always shut down by 5 o'clock? So if you know that you want to end your day at 5 o'clock, maybe you go into your Outlook calendar and from 4:30 to 5, you block in that you're busy. Now, why are you doing that? So you can wrap up your day. You want to wrap up your day. And then after you get off, what are you going to do during that time? So then take all this other time and fill it in. Now, why do I promote people to have this block scheduling? Because it gives you something to begin with. And if you realize that, let's say you and your partner both work the same hours during the week, and one of you has more flexibility than the other, maybe one of you will go to your manager and say, you know what? I realize that my normal hours are from 9 to 5, but I'm homeschooling my kids. Can I start my day at 8 o'clock or 7:30 and work from 7:30 to another time? Can I do that instead of working my normal 9 to 5? And then your partner, or maybe you alternate days. One day I'm going to start at 7:30, you're going to start at 7:30, and you're on kid duty and I'm on kid duty. But you really want to make sure that you're being intentional and mapping this stuff down. Because what happens is that if you don't do it this way, you can wind up having a lot of unnecessary arguments, a lot of frustration in your home, and then you'll say, I don't like working from home. And that's not right now, you're kind of stuck in this situation. And honestly, we want to have the attitude of gratitude because you have the ability to work from home. But again, when you think about this block scheduling, you want to do your first pass at it. And then, whomever you live in a house with, you want to make sure you map out and see what works for you. I actually teach a class called It's About Time, where I help people figure out this block scheduling based on the priorities of your life. It's still relevant. If you'd love for me to do that teaching as a webinar, let me know. But it really is, there's a whole process around it. And what you may discover as you go through this is you never really had to be as intentional with your time as you do right now. And you'll start to recognize, you know what, I'm more productive. So for myself, I work as a consultant, and most of my clients are remote. I don't really go into the actual buildings unless I have to do an actual live class, and those things are all canceled right now. So for me, anytime that I know that I'm working on a project or I'm doing something that's going to take up a different type of time, is I'll go in and I'll block schedule my schedule as well. One of the things that I've been enjoying about this quarantine is that I start my day at 6:45 in the morning. Actually, I start my day at 4:30 in the morning, and I do all my meditation and all my quiet time, and then I start my actual meet, like connecting with the public, at 6:45 in the morning. But then I'm done with my work, usually really early, so early that I'm like, oh my gosh, is it okay for me to just shut down? And it is. Because what I'll do is I'll fill in my time differently. So when I'll take my lunch earlier, I'll say, okay, I'm going to prep dinner. So then dinner's usually done by like 3 o'clock, which is awesome. Because if not, and I don't start dinner until later, then we don't eat until really late, which is easy again to pick up some bad habits. So if you want to be proactive, I would just encourage you to do this whole tip when you think about virtual solutions. Another thing when it comes to block scheduling. If you do this block scheduling and you know that you have to get on conference calls with others, or you and the person that you live with, they both have to do conference calls, or just before this call, I was talking to a mom and she said her daughter's teacher wants them to do conference calls. So you want to make sure you're wrapping your schedule around what's the best time for you to take a conference call. Because if you jump on a conference call during the busiest time of the day, you might wind up having one of those oopsie embarrassing moments. I just heard someone telling me that there was a young lady online doing a presentation and then someone from her house walked by in their underwear. So again, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the work you need to get done. These are some great habits that you can start using as you're thinking about technology and you're using these tools and you're really trying to make sure that you're making the most out of this situation. You want to be strategically planning out how do you work your day. If you are a college student, same thing. Especially if you're a senior, you'll be graduating in a couple of months. As you're blocking out your schedule, the question I would ask If you don't have a job offer already, or there's now some contingencies around your job offer, I would encourage you to say, I'm blocking out my schedule, but am I spending time with following up with my potential employer? Or do I need to make sure I have time in my day where I'm looking for a job? People are hiring right now. They really are. And not just for entry level service jobs. They are still hiring. I've heard 3 or 4 people on my LinkedIn network that have gotten some great jobs right now. So, again, if you are a person who is in college or you're on the fence trying to figure out, do I want to stay at this job or do I want to look for some other things? The whole key is map it out and plan for success. Success doesn't just happen, success happens when preparation meets opportunity. What are some of those preparations? It is writing down plans, figuring out what it is that you want to accomplish in the week, and then following this plan with some flexibility in there. So, hopefully, this will encourage you guys, whether you are a church, some simple tips there, whether you are a job seeker or a college student, some tips that will help you there. And again, wrapping it all up with, as you're thinking about using virtual things, working virtually, having a plan for how you do your work will provide greater success and less frustration and happier relationships for all. So those are my tips for today. Typically, I'll have in the comment section how to get in touch with me, but I'm just going to say it out loud. If you want to connect with me or get information from what we've talked about in the virtual sessions, you just go to our website at www.bonswysolutions.com. Put your email address and your first name in. It will take you to a site where we'll have all of the tip sheets that I've been using for these virtual tips that I've been doing for the last 2.5 weeks, I think it is, maybe 3 weeks, not sure. But the content is right there for you. It's an easy way to find it. Or you can just you can go to my YouTube channel, Latasha Martin, and like and subscribe and get notifications when I'm going live, because these videos are typically posted there right after these sessions. So have a great day. It was great talking to you. I'm Latasha Martin of OnSWI Solutions, and we'll speak again on Wednesday. Oh, if you have any tips that you would like more information on, just put those in the comments as well, and I'll make sure that I have that information for you. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.